Hello, I'm Debra Darvick, author of the children's book We Are Jewish Faces, and I'm thrilled today to be having a short author chat with Suzanne Lipshaw, who has written a delightful, important children's book called Mighty Mahi.
I am thrilled to be here.
Can you describe the book in one sentence?
Sure. Mighty Mahi is the inspiring true story of an injured green sea turtle's rescue, rehabilitation, and eventual release back into her ocean home.
How did you come to write it? Was it from a newspaper article, or how did you find out about this one episode with this one turtle?
Well, it actually started many years ago when I was a teacher, and I actually did a whole year-long theme about oceanography and partnered with the Georgia Sea Turtle Center. And to make a long story short, through a long distance learning activity, my students and I met Mahi and found out she was available for a symbolic adoption for $50. And I kind of had it set up, on the sly with the person who was running the long distance field trip to kind of give my students the idea, but I wanted them to say, we can do this. And one of the kids jumped out of his chair, put his fist in the air and went, we can do this. Yes, yes. And so the kids were all on board, and we ended up raising money for Mahi and studying all about sea turtles. And the great thing about the Georgia Sea Turtles long distance program, you have to remember, this was before Zoom or any of these long distance things were happening.
Wow.
They then give you bi-weekly updates on the turtles' progress. So we can, I was working with struggling readers, and they couldn't wait to get their next update. And so it was a perfect way for them to practice all the skills. I mean, the words were hard. There was medicines in there and different other medical terms, and they had to use their skills that I taught them to break it up and the comprehension and all that. So it was project-based learning, on stilts, and it was just a wonderful experience. And I kind of tucked it aside, that was probably the epitome of my year of teaching and everything. And then years later, I thought, why don't I write a story about Mahi? And so I did.
In writing this book, was there ever a moment where you felt blocked, or information you needed or a direction you wanted to go just wasn't happening?
Whenever I write, there are times where I feel blocked, and I just can't figure out how to revise this section or what is it missing. And I have a critique group that I turn to. We meet once a month and they give me some feedback, but sometimes it's still just not quite working for me. So I find the best thing for me to do is to put it aside. It could be a couple days, it could be a week, it could be 6 months, whatever it needs to get that going. Now, of course, if I'm on deadline, that's not going to work. I can only put it aside for a short time and I've got to get moving. But if I'm just writing it before I've even sent it out to publishers, sometimes the best thing to do is just put it away, move on to something else, clear your brain, and then come back to it with fresh eyes.
That's perfect. What made you become a writer? Was there a specific book or an experience that started you off writing children's books?
Would definitely be, goes way back to when I was a kid. I was an avid reader and I loved to write. I would get assignments in elementary school. They were supposed to be 2 pages long. I would write 10. I just loved to write. My girlfriend and I in 7th grade, our idea of getting together for fun was lying on each other's bed, reading books and writing. So definitely
sounds wonderful
from way back when. And I initially was going to go into journalism, figuring writing was going to be my career. I was editor of my high school newspaper, co-editor actually, and decided that just wasn't the path I think I really wanted to take. There were some aspects of it that just didn't seem to fit with my personality. And I sat back and thought, what have I done in my life that I love, and working with kids? So what's interesting is things go back to my teaching all the time. And when I was teaching, I had a basic method of teaching my students. And when Common Core became the thing, I realized I didn't use enough nonfiction text. So I knew that summer I really needed to meld that over in my head and figure out how I was going to get that into my teaching. I don't have a set curriculum because I teach struggling readers, like intervention and special education for some. So, I have more of an opportunity kind of create what is best and certainly tailored for each child. So I'm in Yellowstone Park with my family and I'm looking around. I'm going, my kids would be amazed at the geysers and the beautiful, colorful pools and springs and the mud pots and all the animals. And so I started going to the bookstore and buying books. And serendipity, I ran into a children's author who had written 2 books on a kayak trip I was with. She was there signing her books. She's like, I'm giving this all to you for free. I have educational guides. I want you to use them. So I used all those resources and started teaching through a nonfiction theme every year. So that's where the oceanography theme came about. So as I started to decide that I wanted to pursue my writing dream, we all had that writing dream to be an author, and I never really took the time to do that. I started with a middle grade novel, and it just wasn't taken off quite the way I wanted. And I saw this nonfiction picture book writing course, and I thought, that really resonated with me because I teach from nonfiction picture books now. And the topic I was using for my middle grade was really the topic of my first nonfiction picture book. I was turning it to fiction. So it's the story of a 9-year-old who found out that ice cream trucks were illegal in West Bloomfield, and due to an antiquated peddler's law, and what he did to get that law changed.
Oh, wow.
And so this course just went ding, 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 ding. And I turned it into a nonfiction picture book and started going that route and writing that way. So it was a series of a lot of different things that just fell into place that kind of led me into my path.
It seems like there's a strong theme of, through your work, empowering kids.
Yeah.
Finding within themselves the courage, just the inspiration to make a big change in something.
I think that just goes along with, again, back to the heart of my teaching. I have kids with low self-esteem, they can't read well, they struggle, but they're bright and they have so many strengths. And I really felt it was my job as a teacher to pull those out in them and to show them that they can achieve. And then when we started doing this project-based learning, that they can make a difference. And the same thing, the subject of the ice cream book happens to be my son. So when he said to me, Mom, why don't ice cream trucks come down our street? I said, they're not allowed, but I have no idea why. And the teacher in me said, let's call up the township and find out. And that just led him on this journey that he, chose to take. And what I really want people to see is, yes, that doesn't matter how old you are, you can make a difference in the lives of others, whether it be people, animals. The thing that I think a lot of people have really connected with are the sea turtle trivia facts. And it doesn't matter what age person have read it, they just love those facts. And a lot of them, amazed me. Some of them I knew, and we found out, my students and I together, in all our exploration of sea turtles, and others I learned as I had to do, of course, more research before writing the book.
Can you remember one that surprised you?
Yeah, the one that surprised me was they don't know how old a turtle is. I'm sorry, they don't know the sex of a turtle until they're 30 years old, and it has to do with the size and length of their tail.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that was interesting. And the other one is the sex of the turtle is determined by the temperature of the sand that the turtle lays its eggs in.
Mother Nature is genius.
That's fascinating. There's so many fascinating real things going on in our world.
So you were able to include a lot that you might not have with fiction. Is there something in Mighty Mahi that you couldn't include? or was this one just that perfect combination of getting it all in?
I was fortunate I was able to get the basics of the story in. My fabulous publisher, though, had the wisdom of changing my manuscript, which I initially wrote in third person, to a first person turtle
Mhm.
perspective. I initially didn't want to do that because then you technically can't call the book nonfiction. It is now informational fiction because it is told from the turtle's point of view and a turtle can't speak. But she felt that it would be more engaging that way,
Mhm.
had me rewrite it that way, and then really took to heart the fact that I wanted everything to still be factual.
Mhm.
So it was a great partnership. Along with my illustrator, I have to give a shout out to Dorothy Shaw. She's amazing. You guys can't, I really look forward to anyone who's interested in seeing the book to really delve into her illustrations.
They're
They're just
beautiful.
beautiful.
Well, thank you, Suzanne, so much. This is just, it's been a delight. I look forward to you being at book fair on the 13th of November.
Thank
And I
you.
know parents and kids are going to love this book together.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.